So Rav Cardozo, when it comes to doing tshuva and change and growth, there's a very big emphasis on the idea that a person can transform their life around, get rid of their anger, get rid of their jealousy, if they have a negative character trait that they want to transform, that really, ein hadavar talui ela bi. It's a quote the Rambam uses from the Gemara a lot, that, the matter is dependent on me. If I really want to change my life around, Hashem will help me. So I want to ask you, do you think that you can do tshuva on every single thing? Can you really uproot every character trait that is negative in you? Or do you think, on the other hand, there are limitations, that there really are things that we have to accept as flaws, that even if we try our hardest, they remain with us? And that's also part of tshuva, accepting that and being able to maybe move to another character trait.
Yes, you are asking me a difficult question about which one can speak for hours, because obviously one has to ask the question, what at all is Teshuva? What is the very definition of that word? I personally do not believe that it is possible for people to completely change. We are born with certain inclinations, and these inclinations will stay with us because that's who we are. However, the question about Teshuva is more, how can I use my not so nice midot qualifications or qualities in a way that they can work in a positive way? Not by denying them, not by ignoring them, not by destroying them, because you cannot. There is no such thing as completely changing. That is not within the capacity of the human being. But I think what Teshuva means is to accept who you are and to make the best out of it. And not that you are suddenly becoming a completely different personality, which I don't think anybody ever managed to achieve. So it is like being religious. People sometimes ask me, when did you become religious? And I always answer, I have no idea, and I can tell you only one thing. I don't believe till this day that I am really religious. I'm still on the road, and I do not know if I ever will reach it. And I also believe that there is no obligation to achieve it. The obligation is to give it a try and to accept whatever comes on the way to doing Teshuva or to be religious. And that is all what God basically wants from us. So not that there is something which is a sudden total change, because even when we think there is a complete change, which some people believe on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, they will find out later on that it didn't work. I add another dimension to this. I never say before Rosh Hashanah any selichot. Why? Because the point here is that Rosh Hashanah is basically a festival. It is a Yom Tov. It is a day, no doubt, of Teshuva. But what is the Teshuva all about? It is about making God again our king. And this concept of kingship we need to celebrate. And that's the reason why we blow the shofar and why we declare Hashem Melech, Hashem Malach, Hashem Yimloch Le'olam Vayet. God is always with us in the past and the future and now at this present moment. And to get that fully implied within one's life, and to know that we live constantly in the presence of God, and therefore whatever we do is seen by Him, for the lack of a better word, is what we need to try to achieve on Rosh Hashanah. Whether or not we actually achieve it, I don't know. It's not so important. What is important is let's give it a try. And therefore, saying selichot, that is these prayers which ask for forgiveness, is not yet at this moment what is at stake. At stake is, how do I build within myself a feeling that God is the king? And it ultimately then comes to the highest point of recognition, and that is on Rosh Hashanah, especially with the tefillot and with the blowing of the shofar. Now, I never, therefore, say selichot before Rosh Hashanah, because not yet the time. I now have to work on his kingship. So I take out of the selichot, and inside the Spanish, Portuguese, Sephardi selichot, you have parts which speak only about one thing, his kingship. It doesn't say anything about selicha, mechila, and things like that. That is what I say. After Rosh Hashanah, when I have made the king into my king, which means to say I've got to the root of the problem, why I made mistakes, because somewhere it means to say that I was not aware when I did something wrong that God is around and is seeing me, for the lack of a better word. Then it is possible to say, God, now that I've come back to you, I now have to tell you I'm so sorry about what I did. So I always did that on myself till somebody showed me that this is a Ram, the Rabbeinu Nissim, who writes that in Barcelona, in his days, a few hundred years ago, they never said any selichot before Rosh Hashanah. They started with that after Rosh Hashanah. And that makes perfect sense to me, because that's the way how this period in our lives should come about. So now I say selichot after I hope that somehow I made God again into my king. But it never means that I am totally different from what I was before. I know that it's true. And I also have this very strong emunah that God does not require that from me. I hope that he became a little bit more my king than last year. And if I achieve that, that's all what it is. But I have to be myself. I have to stay the person I am. And in case I've got bad midot, many bad qualifications, I have to use them, and that is possible in a positive way. Not that I destroy them, but that I give them a different direction. Once I do that, that's what Teshuva is all about.